Bonjour à tous. International reporter Fanny Salmon here to take you through this week on HRTV. Pursuit of the Cup went behind the scenes of the cheap woolly barn for HRTV diary Mind That Bird.
Mind that bird walking a shed row. First morning in Santa Anita. Hi, Mind that bird. Welcome to California, buddy. First time on a Derby winner. God willing, not your last.
First time, yeah.
Got Chip Woolly here in his chipsticks. Hi, Chip.
How are you this morning?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
Not too bad.
Hi, Birdie. This is Mind the bird. He's a superior carrot eater. Charlie does everything. Rider, groom, hot walker, bucket filler. How'd you go, Joe?
Pretty good. We hooked up with lethal heat.
All right. This is what he does when he sees horses trying to get his food. Myself, mad as hell. Trainer has arrived with no crutches. Been off the crutches for a couple of days now, is Chip Woolly. Chip coming in to check his steed, having a little chat with him. How's your leg doing?
Getting along all right?
You are. Are you going to have that thing operated on again?
Yeah, as soon as the breeder's cut them.
And off they go. Man and horse, no crutches, hardly recognizable.
Director of Communications Darren Rogers was on the phone with a preview of this Churchill Downs fall meet.
Wanted to find out about the jockey colony for your 21-day fall meet. Who does it look like is going to be there and riding well?
Well, if you ask me, I mean, I really believe that the riding title is going to be between Julian Leparoux, Robbie Alvarado, and Calvin Burrell. I mean, Leparoux last fall, you might recall, won 63-day races over the 26-day fall meet. I mean, he was loaded and won a record, equaled Pat Day's record with 7 wins in one day last November the 11th. I think those three are the ones that are going to vie for this year's title. Of course, Kent DeSormo is going to be in the mix. Sean Bridgemahan's going to be in the mix. Jamie Theriault probably going to mix a little bit back and forth between Churchill Downs and Fairgrounds, but he'll win races obviously when he's here. And then Leandro Gonçalves is really done fabulous at Turfway Park and having a good meet at Keeneland. And I think Leandro is definitely going to be in the mix. A lot of people aren't familiar with him. He's a 27-year-old Brazilian. He's been riding at tracks doing quite well for the past few years, but he's really starting to come into his own. And I've heard some people mention he might be the next Rafael Bejarano. Who knows? So let's keep an eye on Leandro Gonçalves.
Another racing highlight this week was the debut of Barbaro's youngest brother, Lentonor.
Well, as we mentioned earlier today at Keeneland, a full brother to Kentucky Derby winner Barbaro made his career debut today for the same trainer, Michael Matz, and that's Lentonor, who's by Dynaformer, and out of that same dam, and that dam's also produced Nicanor, and this was not the best of trips for Lentonor today.
Well, you know the silks. He's an easy one to pick out. You're looking at those same Lail Stable silks and the silks of Barbaro. He had a little trouble coming down the stretch. He finally gets in the clear here, and he's going to run on and get third. At that point, when he finally gets out, he wasn't going to have any chance here of catching the winner, but he went off at odds of 8-1. He wasn't getting a lot of respect at the windows. I think Michael Matz, he's got to be very pleased with what he saw and just getting up and finishing third.
Yeah, I think he'll be not really disappointed about that either. And don't forget that Nicanor has got a lot of talent too. He got injured earlier this year, but boy, I was on the air for a powerhouse performance by Nicanor. So that dam is doing quite well.
And this will be the last 2-year-old we see for a couple years. Her 2008 foal, who would have been a yearling this year, unfortunately she was barren, so she doesn't have one, but then she did has another Dynaformer colt that she foaled earlier in 2009.
Zenyatta's gonna come home to score. Undoubtedly now, a living legend. Zenyatta 9 for 9.
That was the scene a year ago. Zenyatta facing the best female competition racing had to offer on one of racing's biggest stages.
She is just such a magnificent racehorse.
4 races and 12 months later, she's still perfect.
But Zenyatta with condescending ease.
13 straight, equaling the great personal ensign. Her 14th, however, could be the most demanding.
Obviously, wait till her last work and then make a decision.
Classic or Ladies Classic? The answer on Tuesday. But first, Zenyatta's final work, live from Hollywood Park, next.
Pursuit of the Cup starts right now.
Pursuit of the Cup went to Hollywood this week to see the American Idol in her final workout before the Breeders' Cup.
She's rolling right now.
She's getting to that leader, pretty close. Again, I don't know who she's working with, but it's probably someone who's fairly, competitive. You don't want to have a cheaper horse there that will just give out. You want to give her the target.
The nice thing about it, that is Steve Willard aboard right there, the workmate who knows Zenyatta better than anybody probably, being on her back all the time. So you see Mike Smith letting her gallop on by right there, and the classic ears from Zenyatta. You're going to see him go forward as Mike hits the finish line, as she's become famous for.
She just effortlessly moves over the top of the ground. And Gary, you look at that work. We'll have a final time for you. Zenyatta lengthening out her final work before the Breeders' Cup. By virtue of what you're looking at here on a television screen, would John Sheriffs be happy with that maneuver?
I would say he'd be very happy with this work. She's galloping out strong here. She's actually going to gallop out a mile. So a big work from her today. This is sort of reminiscent of Charlie Whittingham work before a big cap or any big race. Not afraid to go out there and get after it.
What's impressive is that she's galloping out unbelievably. You're right. This is where she broke off, so she's galloping out almost a full mile.
Yeah, and you see a lot of trainers getting conservative right now, and John Sheriff's doing just the opposite, and that says a lot for the talent of this filly and the soundness of this filly. He said that's what makes her remarkable. She went the 3/4 and 112 and 2 we just heard.
3/4, 112 and 2. Zenyatta, that's live from Hollywood Park, just completing her final drill, her final maintenance drill before the 26th Breeders' Cup. And now we await the decision, Classic or Ladies Classic, to draw on Tuesday.
Zenyatta would not be where she is today if it weren't for her trainer, John Sheriffs, and her exercise rider, Steve Willard.
I went to work for this trainer, Mike Seba, at Arlington Park. He took my contract in 1965. I rode for almost 20 years. But one of the men I rode for back in the 60s, he had a horse called Gate Dancer. His name is Jack Van Bert. He asked me to go with him when I was in the twilight of my riding career, which was sort of mediocre to start with. He was the reason I came to California with Gate Dancer. He never really put out what he felt like he could do. I thought he was a better horse than he ever produced. Ali Sheba was push button. Not a real big stout horse, but a ton of talent. He was a relatively easy horse to gallop.
This is Zenyatta here.
Before she ever ran, she's big and strong, and she'd done everything what we wanted her to do at the time. I was pulling up, and Jerry, the outrider, he says, "Boy, she's tall." And I said, "Yeah, this is the second coming of Ruffian. If she wanted to, she'd take you anywhere she wants to go, not where I want to go." A little like a lot of good horses, she wants to do what she wants to do sometimes, and you have to reprimand her. Not get mean with her, but reprimand her a little bit, and she's smart. And what's a real plus with her is it's very unusual for a real good horse to like people, and she likes people. She doesn't get really strong or want to really train until she's gone a half mile or so, and then she really wants to get into the work.
It's funny, some riders get it and some don't, but Steve's one of the riders that can gallop a horse to get it ready to run. Some guys just gallop the horse around there and they never quite finish the job, but Steve has that knack of knowing when the horse is getting enough air and how he's doing, so he's very talented.
They say you always save the best for last. I started getting on thoroughbreds when I was 16. That's 50 years ago. For her to come up at this time in my life, it's such a thrill.
But Zenyatta with condescending ease.
Couldn't that screw that horse up? How good would she be if I wasn't galloping her?
Oh my God, there's no telling. She could be.
She beat Secretariat.
Maybe Zenyatta will inspire the next horse racing catchphrase like the ones that inspired Bill Tynovan's book.
We had some fun looking at handicapper too, and I want to point out to viewers that there is, the word is highlighted along with the explanation on each page.
Handicapper is, I find interesting, handicap and handicapper. The word handicap comes from an old English game, which is, the rules are quite exotic, but it comes from putting a hand in a cap and pulling out a piece of paper with a number or amount on it. But the phrase itself, handicap, is used, it grew with weights and horses to mean a superior horse was weighted down with a handicap. And the word now generally means that a perceived disability is placed on something, and it has nothing to do with something superior being handicapped.
Looking at your book, I was taken back by the fact that there are so many phrases that we say almost on a daily basis, Bill, that refer back to horse racing. I mean, it's really mind-boggling. Were you taken back in the same manner as when you started to do a little more research? Exactly, Scott. We were doing this research during the 2008 campaign and elections, and the amount we hear these phrases over and over again, especially in the political arena, it just was amazing to us to hear the race and the campaign go hand in hand. And then some of the other phrases like "get your goat" was one that I had no idea had come from horse racing.
And this one applies to me because Scott gets my goat on a regular basis. When I was reading what you said, it said if you were annoyed or bothered, it may be said that someone or something has gotten your goat, because the horse often has a goat to keep them calm and relaxed.
We actually do have a goat here on set, but you can't see him. He's underneath the desk, and he just kind of keeps us all calm.
Bullet drill countdown to Breeders' Cup. 3 short-priced winners. Breeders' Cup 2 days.
3. Well, Goldikova. Looking at Lucky, I think he'll win. And Conduit. Why not?
2 trainers to win multiple races.
Well, Baffert, I'm sure he'll find somewhere to win too. And I'd say Ibay Soror, the Godolphin guy. He might win more than 2.
1 horse of the year crowned after all is said and done?
I think Rachel's going to be hard to unseat, but I'm rooting for Zenyatta so we can have a debate. That'll be fun.
I'm rooting on Zenyatta as well, but I believe Rachel already has the tiara and crown.
Rick Mitty was this week's guest on Across the Board and talked about all the horses representing Godolphin Blue in this year's Breeders' Cup.
It's amazing. I think a lot of people are envious in the position that you're in. What's it like to be around that much horse flesh?
Well, we just really got lucky this year. A lot of horses came over from Dubai, and some came back from Kentucky, and it just took a while to get them to come right, and it just seemed like they all, we had a kind of subpar Belmont spring meet, and then everything seemed to come right at Saratoga. So, we've got good help and a lot of good help, and that helps a lot, as you know, good riders and good staff, and just as I said, a lot of the horses just seem to be like the perfect storm of events once we hit Saratoga, and hopefully we don't cool off by Breeders' Cup time.
Well, last year in the Ladies Classic, you were 2 and 3 behind Zenyatta. Now you're going to end up facing her probably one way or the other, whether it be Classic or Ladies Classic.
They both ran so well here last year. Obviously had to face Zenyatta. How have you seen them change from 3 to 4?
Yeah, I say music. No, Coco Beats, there really hasn't been much change in her at all. She's now 5. Well, she's a Southern Hemisphere filly, so she's technically 5. Haven't seen a real big change in her. Music notes probably taller, a little stronger than she was last year, probably a little more mature filly, filled out. She's also, I think now, just the way the races have transpired, we got off the poor race in the Ogden Phipps, we've got 2 good efforts out of her, so we really feel we've got a filly going the right way. We were quietly very happy about her 3rd place finish in this race last year. We thought before we got her out here she might just be a little over the top. She didn't look that great in her coat here last year, and we were very happy with that race to be 3rd. But this year we feel we've got a lot better chance to win the race. Certainly got a better chance if Zenyatta goes in the other race. But we feel we've got a filly that might still be a probably better filly than she was last year, and probably we haven't got to the bottom of her the way we did last year by the time we got here.
trainer Aidan O'Brien also has a number of horses for this year's Breeders' Cup, including some very talented 3-year-olds. It's difficult for horses like Rip Van Winkle and Master Craftsman to be 3-year-olds in 2009. I think they would probably have had a different career if they had not had to run against See the Stars.
Yeah, like obviously we had a very good bunch of 3-year-olds this year. We were delighted with him. Obviously, Steve the Stars, everyone saw what he done this year, and I think the 3-year-olds are very strong in general this year. Obviously, Rip is a lot of speed, a lot of natural speed, and obviously the other horses like that as well. Master Craftsman's best run was 6 furlongs on fast ground in Group 1 at the Curragh, and I suppose Rip's best run is the mile. Two very good horses, two very solid horses.
What kind of a character does he have?
Very straightforward, very tough, honest. Horse, very good mover. Very solid horse with a very strong mind. Massive stride and great use of himself behind, great use of himself in front. He's a very extraordinary horse, really.
What would be your best memory of the Breeders' Cup?
They were all great days. When High Chaparral won, obviously, and I suppose Giant's Causeway running so well. Johannesburg winning the juvenile, so they were all great days.
There are many big days during the year. What is different about the Breeders' Cup?
I suppose it's the championship at the end of the year where all the horses meet, all the continents. You know what I mean? I think it's where everybody can compare all the horses, all the form lines, and it's very exciting and very important race meeting. Probably one of the most, if not the most, of the whole season, really.
I finally made it to the States Saturday to meet the Pursuit crew and brought along some souvenirs of our favorite French filly.
Well, we're going to start off the international news firstly by introducing Fanny Salmon. You've known her as bringing you some key races over from Europe, France, England, and Ireland. The sights and sounds of those races and results. Fanny, it's nice to have you in the flesh. Welcome to the show.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to be in California. I was expecting warmer weather.
Yeah.
We'll manage.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Well, we've enjoyed following as racing fans Goldikova as she's brought her A game from either side of the world and watched her develop into a grade and Group 1 filly. But where did it all begin? Well, Pierre-Yves Bureau has more.
Well, she was a good average filly. She was not exceptional. She was not the top of the yearlings, but she was a filly. And especially, never happened to her, as a yearling or a foal. It's the kind of filly that never had any problem. So she was a good average filly. She was not exceptional, to be honest, because it's quite easy after. But no, she was not quite exceptional. But never any problem. And well, now she's turned in a very nice filly.
Well, it almost turned out to be the ugly duckling that turns into the beautiful swan story there, doesn't it?
Yes, and she's incredible when she gets to the track. As early as 2 or 3 weeks before her first race, Freddie did say that she was going to turn out quite nice. But yeah, she maybe not. She's not one of these eye catchers. Mm-hmm. But when she puts on her Wonder Woman suit to get to the track, she is quite something.
Those wings, we're still looking for where she hides those wings in the afternoon.
Jim Gluckson was on set Thursday for a preview of what the Breeders' Cup has to offer besides great racing.
And we have a new jockey wager, a head-to-head wager this year.
Oh, right.
Where on Thursday you can bet who you feel will be the jockey that will win the most Breeders' Cup races.
Now, I bet that in Ireland a few years ago when I was in a pub watching Breeders' Cup. Yeah.
Well, we're going to give this, we think this is going to be a popular wager.
Is there going to be a morning line set and it'll adjust?
Yes, there'll be a
that?
morning line, absolutely. And if it's a dead heat it pays out like a dead heat. So there should be two or more riders that have the same number of wins will pay out that way. So.
Gomez came through for me when I was in Ireland.
Gomez,
so.
There you go. Okay.
That was great.
Right. We've also made some advancements in social media with our fans of the Breeders' Cup, and we were going to have the first Tweeters' Cup, a tweet up at the Breeders' Cup.
A tweet up
at Seabiscuit Court on Friday with hearing from Bob Baffert and Joe Talamo and Lafitte Pinkai are also Twitter men. And we are going to have it's going to be a nice and interesting experience. So we're branching out into something a little bit new and different. I did want to bring that up.
Who would have thought that Pinkai tweets?
There you go.
Yeah, and Baffert too. I'm not surprised with Baffert. Baffert's very, very into the media.
Trainer Tim Ice is looking for his first Breeders' Cup win to cap off his amazing debut year as a conditioner.
My stepfather, he trained racehorses. So early age, you know, it started probably 12 years old when I was first around the racehorses. And from there, it become a part of me. I've grown into the sport, love the sport of horse racing. I had a scholarship to go to college, academic scholarship. I passed that up because this is what I knew was my love. I wanted to train racehorses and get into the sport, so I passed up college for this. When I first went out on my own, it was tough. Trying to build a stable, you start out with zero. I had a promise from an owner that was going to send me a few horses, and that backfired. I'm looking down the shed row at just a couple horses, and I actually had a lot of help from Keith DeSolmo. He sent me a few of his horses to train and help get me started. From there, I picked up Dr. J. Arman, and they started sending me horses, and my stable eventually grew. When I think of Summer Bird, I think, I owe a lot to this horse. I owe my career to him, to reflect on the races that he's won and the things that he's accomplished in such a short time.
And here is Summer Bird to win the Belmont Stakes.
And now we're talking that he's the top 3-year-old colt in the country right now. It's just an indescribable feeling. I hope people can see that I can manage a horse like Summer Bird and continue to do well with him. I think it's very hard to keep a horse at a peak level, and he's kept it, and actually, he keeps peaking. So he's helped my stable out dramatically. It's just been a great year.
Private clocker Toby Terrell was on set with his take on the Breeders' Cup workers as of Saturday.
Also working 5 furlongs today in 59 2/5 by the official clocker, Summer Bird, winner of the Belmont Stakes, the Travers, and the Jockey Club Gold Cup, the first to sweep those 3 since Easy Goer.
Well, I'll tell you what, I kind of wish, if I was the trainer of this horse and a fan of this horse, I kind of wish that Kent DeSormo would have flown back out here for this work this morning. I loved the way Kent worked him last week. I think he got away a little bit from this exercise rider here today and went a little too fast early, and therefore didn't have that big, strong final quarter that he had when working between races here at Santa Anita last week. Now, whether this will hurt him or not in the big classic, you don't want to have any mistakes or any holes at all in your training coming into a championship. This work actually looks a lot better on TV, I believe, than it did even in person this morning. In fact, a couple of trainers came up to me thinking that they saw something on this work, maybe a little bit negative in the finish. That's explained by the fact he went too fast early. So the trainer's going to have to compensate for that now. I believe it's a little bit of a tactical mistake. We'll see if he can do that.
That's all for HRTV this week. Here's what you can look forward to for next week.
Little trivia from Brad.
I had picked that one last week.
He's dressed as John White tonight on the show. Joanne's dressed as the witch. She's a walking encyclopedia.
I'm
of racing.
coming back from, of course, a party, and I would have had serious hat head, so anyway, had to wear it.
There he is, Jay Cohen. He's all ready to get the candy.
He was actually dressed like that this morning. David, out for works this morning, had no idea that he was going to keep it for this afternoon. I asked him, he said, yeah, he was. I thought he was just joking around. David Flores, that'll certainly make for an interesting winner circle picture.
Flores?
I think it is.
You sure?
That's what it says on his pants. He's got shades on. Look at that. He takes them off for the photo. 1, 2, smile. There you go.